The emotional roller coaster that goes with leaving an abusive relationship is just full of all sorts of bizarre surprises. I want to talk about what it was like to try to start dating again. Because almost immediately after you get out of the relationship, particularly if you have any sort of notoriety amongst any group of people, they start crawling out of the woodwork and they start wanting to see if you're okay and take you out for coffee. And mostly it's well-meaning and it's fine, really. A lot of it was very, very sweet. And of course, there's the part of you, or at least the part of me, that looked at the young, eligible bachelors that I knew and thought, I wonder which one of those would be a good choice for me. And I did try. Don't get me wrong. I tried several times with guys that I knew well and had known for years. But it just never worked. One particular gentleman was very sweet. He was really very nice to my kids, mostly. And used to take them out on day trips and what have you. And every now and again, he would spend the night. But we would share dream time. And it was just so comforting to have somebody that I felt safe next to in the bed with me. It was warm, it was snuggly, and that's all it was, warm and snuggly, and we shared dream time. That was kind of neat. Now, keep in mind, this is 1992, 93-ish. We're in that time frame. I'd already tried working at a dating service, and I knew from working there that a dating service wasn't going to help me at all. So, this is pre-OkCupid. What are you going to do? Well, there's this one particular guy that I met. I met him through work. Ironically, I was doing inside sales for a company. And he liked the sound of my voice. Apparently, I give great phone. So anyhow, we're having this banter back and forth over a course of a few weeks. Now, I was living in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and he lived down near D.C., and I'm thinking, there's no way this is going to work. I mean, come on, he lives too far away. Until he mentioned that he had his own private plane, and, he could just fly up where was the nearest municipal airport. Well, that sounded exotic and enticing. So I went ahead and, made the plans to meet this guy. And he said, pick out a great restaurant, tell me the name, I'll make us reservations. And I did. I found a nice little Italian restaurant that I knew I couldn't afford on my own. And sure, why not let him pay for dinner? Sure, I'm good. I went to the airport to pick him up because obviously he didn't have a car. And we drove over and we had a really nice dinner. I will say that he was so stellar all through dinner. Could not have been nicer to me, really and truly, could not have been nicer. True gentleman. We get back to the house and the kids are a little rambunctious. Finally get them off to bed. And now we're in that awkward space. Now what's going to happen? And there's something about the way he's speaking to me now that I'm beginning to think this might not have been the best idea, and I don't know if I have a big enough sword to put between the two of us in the bed. And I suggested that perhaps he might be more comfortable sleeping on the couch. And he just kind of looked at me and I said, I'm not comfortable sleeping with you right now. I'm sorry. And he was fine. He was like, okay, that makes sense. No problem. So we did. We slept in separate places that night. And when I woke up in the morning, he was wide awake. Now, I had left everything that you could possibly want for breakfast in plain sight. The coffee was right next to the coffee maker. The refrigerator, obviously, is where you're going to go for the half and half. I left mugs out. There was cold cereal in the house, but there were eggs, and I left a frying pan on the stove or whatever, because I didn't know who would wake up first. When I came downstairs, he looked at me and he goes, oh, good, you're awake. Great. You can make me breakfast now. What? Excuse me? Yeah, I would like. And he starts listing off all the things he was like. I was like, excuse me, I don't have half those things in the house. I'm sorry. I can make you some eggs. I can make you some breakfast sausage and some toast, but I'm sorry, I can't make you fresh orange juice and oatmeal and eggs and hash browns. What do I look like? Waffle House or something? Come on. So I was like, all right, fine. And all this time, I'm trying really, really hard not to laugh because this grown man is wearing a bright traffic cone orange tracksuit. And I think it said Fanta on one of the legs or something like that. It was really bizarre. And he's wearing this tracksuit, and I'm like, okay, maybe those are his pajamas. Well, I had to run out with my son to take care of a few things that day, so I asked him if he would mind hanging in the house for a little while I took care of that. And that was okay. He said fine, and I ran off with my son. I think that was actually the day we adopted his cat. We came back, and now the gentleman is still in this tracksuit. And I'm thinking, are you going to get dressed? Or like, what's going on here? And he sat down. He said, well, let's talk for a while. And I was like, okay, fine. So I made a fresh pot of coffee, and we're chatting. And he said, so I've been giving this some real serious thought. And I was, okay, what did you think? And he said, well, I figured what I would do is I would buy you and the kids a house in Maryland, right near where I am, and then you would just accompany me. What? And then I said, I don't want to be a kept woman. And he looked around this little townhouse that I was living in, and he said, well, you don't want to live like this forever, do you? Yeah, I drove him to the airport, expecting him to at least show me his plane. He left me standing on the tarmac and went off to go talk to some of the good old boys. Came back, looked at me, I looked at him, and I said, you know what? Here's your suitcase. There's your plane. Safe flight home. Dating did not come naturally or easy to me. Not even a little.